Today's Living Local Carolina is sponsored by Carolina Trust Federal Credit Union.
Oh, there's something so real about living local, about the people and the places where we live. Just look at all the reasons why we call this home. And I'm loving living local. I'm living local 'cause it's where I love to be.
Hey there, you're watching the Living Local Carolina Financial Friday Community Panel, and with it being the month of August, we are talking all about back to school today. So I have got Edie and Margaret here with us, who are volunteers at Help for Kids, and they're going to tell us a little bit more about Help for Kids and how they help the community. And then later in this segment, we're going to jump over to PD Elementary School to talk to one of their teachers there, Paula Kane, about being in the schools and, you know, the different needs in the community that she sees in that role. So thank you ladies both for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us.
And I know, you know, the start of school is a really exciting time, especially for you all at Help for Kids. And, you know, parents you see stores full with school supplies, kids are getting the supplies they need. And as exciting as that can be, it can also be kind of a nerve-wracking time for families in need. So with your roles at Help for Kids, you know, what are some of the different things that kids need when they're heading back to school nowadays?
Well, your typical everyday school supplies, your spiral notebooks and calculators, erasers, pens, pencils. And typically what we do is we get a list from the teachers.
Okay.
And say it's a first grader, so then we put everything in those backpacks for that first grader, what they'll need for the school year. And so through all the grades that we service, because then we know we have the right thing for that student, for that classroom.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And it makes such a difference when the child gets to school, they have a brand new backpack, they open it up, and they've got the same tools as everybody else sitting in that classroom that day.
Right.
And it just makes them feel special.
Right, I'm sure. And I can imagine, you know, there are lots of different school drives out there, but being able to not be differentiated between the other students, I'm sure is really important for them to start their school year off and have that sense of pride with their new supplies. So for those at home that may not be aware, what is Help for Kids?
Help for Kids is an organization that helps children that need food.
Okay.
That's our mission, mainly.
Okay.
That we make sure they have food to eat. They can't study if they don't have food, and they come to school hungry.
Right.
And we've seen that many, many times.
Yeah.
They can't study. So our mission is to make sure they have food on the weekends, and some of them don't have any food in the house, so we do that. But we also take care of their school supplies. Make sure they have a nice outfit to wear to school that first day, because so they feel like they can fit in and they're not that person sitting out on the side.
Right, yeah. And I know that's something that's super important for a lot of kids, is, you know, their first day outfit and getting a new backpack and all of those new, you know, supplies, brand new markers and sharpened pencils. I know that's still one of my biggest memories from childhood, is having all those things and, you know, making sure that you're really prepared to start off a new year right. So we're going to head over now to Paula at PD Elementary School so that she can tell us a little bit more about that need in the classroom perspective. So now we are here at PD Elementary in Conway with third grade teacher Paula Kane. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And Paula, what has made you, you know, love being a teacher, and how long have you actually been a teacher?
This year I will be starting my 35th year.
Wow.
Being a teacher at PD Elementary.
So you've been at PD the entire time?
The entire time.
And what grades have you taught in that span of 35 years?
I taught second grade for about 25 years.
Okay.
And I was a curriculum coach for 5 years.
Okay.
And then I came back into the classroom, and now I'm teaching third grade.
And with your position, you know, what is your favorite thing about your job?
My favorite thing is that it's never the same day twice.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, you do the same thing over and over. But that is so not true.
Yeah.
It is a different day every day. And my favorite thing is how valued I feel from
Yeah.
from my coworkers too, but especially from the kids. They, believe it or not, children still love their teacher.
Yeah.
And they still think their teacher is one of the smartest, most wonderful people in the world.
Yeah.
And knowing that I make a difference every single day.
Perfect. And I cannot wait to learn more about classroom life when we come back from the break. Welcome back to the Living Local Carolina Financial Friday Community Panel. Because it is August, we are talking all about back to school. Before the break, we were chatting with PD Elementary School teacher Paula Kane about, being in the classroom, some of her favorite things about being a teacher. And I know, with a new school year, there's got to be some excitement to that.
It is so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, what other career do you have a new beginning, a new start?
Yeah.
Every single year. So
Right.
we kind of have 2 New Years. You have one in August and you have one in January.
Yep.
So it's always very exciting, a new start, new students, new friendships, new
Yeah.
relationships, and you can still work on the old ones.
Yeah, that is great, because being in an elementary school where there's so many different age groups, I'm sure it's great to have a new group of kids come in, but to still be able to see the faces of students that you've taught in the past.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once a cool cat, always a cool cat.
We'll have to find out about the cool cats before we jump off. But as, a parent who may be sending their child to a new school or even just to the next grade, what are some things that they can do at home to help acclimate their child to a new school year?
Well, one of the best things that a parent can do to acclimate a kid to the new classroom is the number one, attend open house.
Okay.
And become familiar themselves.
Yeah.
And meet the teacher.
Yeah.
And, establish a relationship and a partnership with your child's teacher.
Yeah.
Because once you do that, things are going to go so much more, smoothly.
Yeah.
And,
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I guess that kind of leads me into my next question is, how can parents support their child's teacher throughout the school year, so that the teacher feels supported, the child feels supported, and everybody has a great year?
well, the first thing, I guess what the biggest thing is,
Yeah.
if you support your child,
Yeah.
you're supporting their teacher.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation is keep that in your mind. The more you support your kid, the more you're supporting the teacher at the same time.
Right.
I have a few things. The first thing to do is, if as a parent, get involved.
Okay.
Like I said, go to curriculum nights, go to open houses.
Right.
Get involved and start working on that relationship with the teacher.
Yeah. Especially coming out of COVID, now you have that ability to come in and meet face to face. So taking
Yes.
advantage of that.
That's exactly right. The second thing that you can do is establish a routine for your kid.
Okay.
A certain time to get up, a certain bedtime, a certain time to complete homework.
Yeah.
Even a certain place.
Mm-hmm.
Kids love routine, believe it or not. It makes things go more smoothly.
Yeah.
And it just sets the mindset for things to go right.
Right. Yeah, great. That's a great tip.
Number 3
Yeah.
is to encourage reading.
Okay.
We all know that the more you read, the
Yeah.
more you know. And when a child is successful in reading,
Yeah.
chances are they're going to be successful in most every other subject.
Right. Yeah, I think reading is super important, even heading into adulthood. So what are some other tips?
Number 4.
Okay.
Number 4 is to make time to talk.
Okay.
Be sure to talk to your kid about what's going on that day.
Yeah.
What did they learn new? What
Yeah.
are they struggling with? Did anything happen that you want to talk about?
Right.
But when you establish that kind of conversation, children talk with you more. They
Yeah.
let you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that way, you're in the know as a parent.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 5
Yeah.
is to build confidence and self-esteem. That talking does the same thing.
Right.
It helps to build confidence and self-esteem. When a child is confident,
Yeah.
they perform better.
So obviously, we're talking with Help for Kids about community need, and being in the classroom, you kind of have a firsthand experience of things that kids need. And, what are some of the different ways that the community can help the kids in your classroom or, kids in any classroom?
It is important to donate items
Yeah.
and things that kids need. It is important to volunteer and become mentors.
Right.
But one of the most important things that I feel that
Yeah.
community members could do and adults is just to live a life that children are watching you all the time. Little
Yeah.
eyes are on you.
Yeah.
So they need a good role model
Yeah.
and live a life that's worth imitating.
Yeah, I think that is such a great point, and it's something that, all of us at home can do today and, start making sure that we are aware of how our actions portray us and, you know, what we're setting an example for the younger generation on the type of person to be.
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Ms. Kane, so much for all of your helpful tips. And I hope you guys can use these at home to help acclimate your child into the upcoming school year. Welcome back to the Living Local Carolina Financial Friday Community Panel. Before the break, we were talking to PD Elementary School teacher Paula Kane about some of the different ways that parents can help their children acclimate to a new school year. Now we are back in studio with Edie and Margaret, and we were talking back before with you all about Help for Kids and how you help the community. And I know we were talking a lot about school supplies. So what are some of the different drives that I know you guys have going on during the month of August and probably even into September to help get all the supplies that you need for these students?
Yeah. Well, we've had a number of successful drives, and thank you to the community. We've had Harley Davidson, Monument Mortgage. We had the Carolina Realtor Association, Myrtle Beach Tenant Association. These are just to name a few.
Right.
Also, in our own neighborhoods, we did back-to-school clothing and shoe drives.
Oh, wonderful.
And what we did, we set it up for a week, and there was a drop-off point at our homes or at the amenity center.
Okay.
And we put notice out to all the people in the neighborhood, and we've got almost 1,000 homes. So
wow.
We did wonderful, and we did it in Bellwood, and we did it in Prince Creek, and it worked out well. And this is what people can do. They can do small drives in their neighborhoods. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot to put something together like that.
Gotcha.
And also, now most of the drives are done and the kids are back in school.
Right.
So we always look for school supplies throughout the year.
Okay.
So you can always go on Amazon, Walmart, and ship them right to our Forest Brook location.
Okay.
Or you can just drop them off at the Forest Brook location. We take them in all year long because as the kids run out or need to be renewed, we make sure those tools get out to them in the school because it's so important.
Well, and I think that's such an important thing to think of because when you think of that back to school, especially here in our area, you know, we're still in summer clothes. All the kids are getting the things that they need at the beginning of the year, and the community is always so great at, you know, putting together backpacks and donating items. But then, you know, around Christmas time when kids come back and things like that, you know, I feel like there's got to be still just as much of a need almost at that point in the year as there is at the beginning of the year. You know, the tennis shoes that they may have got in August are starting to wear out and, you know, they're out of paper in their notebooks by that point. So it's great that you mentioned that, you know, this is something that you guys do all year round. And speaking of all year round, I know you guys do some different things around Christmas and other times of the year. What are some of the other things that Help for Kids is doing to help our community throughout the whole year?
Well, even though we're in the South, in South Carolina.
Right.
But it gets cold winters.
It does.
And so we do a coat drive.
Oh, wow, okay.
And we'll always make sure that a child always has some kind of a jacket or coat on in the wintertime.
Gotcha.
We'll do sleeping bags, because some of them are sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
And we give them sleeping bags, and they'll put their clothes on in the sleeping bag and sleep in them.
Wow.
Yeah, so they'll have some kind of warmth that way.
Right.
We do Christmas time, we have angel trees out there.
Okay.
In the churches, in the mall, and you take an angel off, it has the age of the child and their sizes, and you can make them have a Christmas.
Yeah.
We also have another drive at Christmas called I Believe, and it's one of our biggest drives.
Okay.
And it's at a restaurant where people buy tickets, and it's auctions, and we actually do really well there and can make Christmas, for kids that don't have something going on right now, we can make sure they have a Christmas.
How, if you're a parent out there who has a child that is in need, or you know of someone in need, how can people in our community get these supplies for children?
Well, actually, a lot of our student needs come through the school.
Okay.
The teacher will notice that, you know, Margaret Gregory, maybe she needs some new outfits. She's not looking, you know, she looks like she's really run those clothes down, and her shoes are really bad. So they'll get a hold of the school nurse or the counselor, and then they get a message out to Barb, and Help for Kids gets the clothes right out to the school within 5 or 7 days of that need. The other thing is we do Sponsor a Child.
Okay.
And that Sponsor a Child it's one of our biggest fundraisers.
Yeah.
You can sponsor a child for $120 a year.
Wow.
And that will make sure that a child has enough food in their backpack every Friday throughout the school year, and that child will not have missed a Friday throughout the whole school year. And we have almost 3,000 children that we service every weekend, right? I mean,
That's
we
correct.
give
Wonderful.
a lot
That's correct,
and
yeah.
our main goal is to feed the children.
Yeah.
Once we've fed them, everything else is secondary, but then we put all those other priorities in line right after that.
Well, thank you ladies so much for everything that you're doing to volunteer, and thanks Help for Kids, that they are able to serve the children in our community. Thank you guys so much for watching the Living Local Carolina Financial Friday Community Panel.